Good evening, everyone. I now call to order the June 21st, 2021 regular session meeting of the Cinnaminson Township Committee. Everyone, please join me for the flag salute. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
This meeting is being held in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act, Public Law 1975, Chapter 231. Notice of this meeting was published in the Burlington County Times and the Courier Post on January 8th, 2021. Madam Secretary, could you perform roll call, please?
Yes, Mayor. Mr. Conda?
Here.
Mr. Horner?
Here.
Mr. McGill?
Here.
Mr. Deputy Mayor Crable?
Present.
Mayor Seagrass?
Here.
Thank you.
The first item on the agenda is a proclamation for Miss Mariette O'Malley. I did hear from Mariette today. She was not available to come. She just got back from vacation, and it was too short notice for her to be here tonight. So I'm just going to read the proclamation. Mariette was a member of the planning board. She's been doing it, and I've been a member of the planning board with her for the past 3 years, but she's been doing it for 20. So it's a heck of a lot of service by one person. And having served with her, and this is not in the proclamation, this is just my personal feelings. Having served with her, she was a person that she would always push whoever was in front of her to make sure that the sites were as safe as possible, and that these businesses kept a sense of community. That was always two things that she focused on, and she's going to be hard to replace. I'm going to read the proclamation. Whereas Mariette O'Malley, having served the Township of Cinnaminson as Planning Board member, being first appointed as an alternate in January 2000 and a regular member in January 2003, and whereas Miss O'Malley has gained a reputation for thoroughly researching every land use application presented to the board, demonstrate a keen insight into the particulars of each matter, and whereas Miss O'Malley has distinguished herself with her unique ability to balance the requirements of the municipal land use law, her commitment to foster economic development activities, as well as the best interest of Cinnaminson community. And whereas through her tireless and dedicated efforts, Ms. O'Malley has gained her the wide admiration and respect of her colleagues, applicants, attorneys, engineers, fellow residents, and all those who have witnessed her professional demeanor during her service on the Cinnaminson Township Planning Board. Whereas Mariette has announced her resignation as a member of the Board of Adjustment effective June 8, 2021, and is being honored by friends and family who are deeply appreciative of her many contributions to the community through the years. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Township Committee of the Township of Cinnaminson, on behalf of all of our residents, expresses our sincere appreciation and thanks to Mariette O'Malley for her many contributions to the community, and highly commends her for the manner in which she has carried out her responsibilities and duties as a member of the Planning Board. I'm just going to, okay, thank you. We're now going to move on to committee liaison reports. The order in which these reports are going to be read is Committee Member Conda, Committee Member Horner for Finance and Economic Development. I'm sorry, Mr. Conda is Administration and Health and Senior Services. Committee Member McGill for Public Safety, Deputy Mayor Crable, Parks and Recreation and Veterans Affairs, and myself, Mayor Seagrass, for Public Works. Committee Conda.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. First and foremost, I would like to welcome everyone back into the building. It's been a long year and a half since we've all sat here, and I, for one, am glad to be back. I just have a couple of things I want to address with regard to a few items that are on this evening's agenda. And they are we have a couple of grant applications that we're working on, or we're going to introduce tonight. One of them is for the reconstruction of Kern Street. One of them is for the reconstruction of Zeisner Street. This is part of our ongoing effort to alleviate the flooding situation in East Riverton. Last year, we used money that we were granted to resurface and rebuild entirely North Palm Pest. This year, we're going to use grant money to do the same for Randolph. If we, in fact, get the grant for Kern Street and Zeisner Street, that'll be 2 more, and the DEP is going to resurface Inman Street. That, I believe, accounts for every residential street between the railroad tracks and the river. So I just wanted to mention that's some of the stuff that we're going to do tonight. And quite honestly, that's really all I have to report, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Condon. Mr. Warner?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have nothing new to report on since our last meeting.
Okay, all right, thank you, sir. Mr. McGill, Public Safety?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The May activity report for the police department, total incidents responded to was 1980. Total arrests made were 16. Total property checks, 550. Total motor vehicle stops, 222. Total motor vehicle summonses issued, 161. And total DWI arrests were 4. On June 12th, the Cinnamon Township Police held a successful bike safety event at Memorial Park. During this event, every child was given the opportunity to obtain a free bicycle helmet, was provided bike safety tips, and enjoyed a BMX bike show. We'd like to thank everyone who attended and to check our Facebook frequently for other upcoming community events. And that concludes my report, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. McGill. That event was fun, the
Yeah, it was
bike
Good
safety.
time. I didn't get a helmet though, but it was a good time.
They didn't have one large enough?
They didn't have one big enough.
Okay. Deputy Mayor Crable?
Okay, we have a lot of great things happening and some events that we have planned for the community. This Thursday, June 24th at 5:30 in Wood Park, we will be hosting Cinnamin's Got Talent. This is a great opportunity for everyone to come out and see our residents showcase and exhibit their fine talents and some of the things that they have to offer. We also have a full summer concert series that will be starting Thursday, July 8th at Wood Park, with the first featured band being Jimmy and the Parrots. With the expanded openings within the township and the township buildings, the community center is now open, and the senior activities that have been regularly scheduled can resume. Lastly, Township Committee has applied for a grant to help refurbish Riverton Park. The Township Engineer presented Township Committee with a brief concept of potential plans earlier this evening. We will keep the residents informed of the process as we expand on this exciting proposal and as soon as more information is made available. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and that concludes my report.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Crable. For my report, I wanted to just mention the road improvement program for 2021. We are going to be repaving Hope Lane, the full length, Stephen Drive, full length, and part of the reason those were chosen is there's no utility work. So in town, everyone noticed there's been a lot of utility work, and it wouldn't be prudent for us to pave an area that was going to then get dug up for utilities. We're also going to pave the hill lot at Memorial Park and the concession lot at Memorial Park, and also a little portion of the DPW lot. Recycling, as of right now, the county, and we communicate with the county regularly, the county is scheduled or tentatively scheduled to pick up next week. Now that can change, and we know that it has. To combat that, as a township, the Department of Public Works has made available 4 8-yard containers in a self-service area. So that means you can go there and dump anything you would put in that blue bin in these 4 containers. I believe it's 24 hours a day. They're accessible. Those containers are accessible 24 hours a day. And there's also a 30-yard container that's available on Saturdays from 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. And we're going to continue doing that. The 4 8-yard containers are going to remain. There's other things that are available as well. For brush, you could drop off brush and some other items. But we're going to keep those 4 8-yard containers for recycling. And the timing couldn't be better for what we're going through with the county program. As far as drainage, Mr. Conda mentioned some items regarding the grants for Kern and Zeisner. Kern Street, they're continuing, DPW is continuing the household sump pump lines. They're tying them into the existing header that is there. They brought the header all the way up the street, and they're tying the sump pump lines directly into the header, meaning that they're going to be able to not overwhelm the street so that the flooding will no longer happen in that street, and that water will go right into the main line and into our drainage system rather than onto the street. North Pompess has already been done. That same thing, we tied in the sump pumps there, and we are scheduled to start North Randolph. I don't have a date yet, but I will certainly share that once I do. And that completes my report. Thank you, everyone. We are now going to move on to the introduction of ordinances. We have 3 ordinances to introduce tonight. Ordinance 2021-7, Ordinance 2021-8, and Ordinance 2021-9. Ordinance 2021-7 is an ordinance of the Township of Cinnaminson, County of Burlington, State of New Jersey, amending Chapter 525 of the Township Code entitled Zoning to include Section 525-81D, Conditional Uses, and to include Section 525-145, Cannabis Establishments. To be advertised in the Burlington County Times, the public hearing for this ordinance is scheduled for July 19th, 2021. May I have a motion to introduce Ordinance 2021-7?
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to introduce ordinance 2021-7.
Thank you, Mr. McGill. May I have a second, please?
I'll second the motion.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Crable. Roll call vote, please, Madam Secretary.
Mr. Conda?
Aye.
Mr. Horner?
Aye.
Mr. McGill?
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Crable?
Aye.
Mayor Segrest?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. We're now going to move on to Ordinance 2021-8, an ordinance of the Township of Cinnaminson, County of Burlington, and State of New Jersey to amend and supplement the Code of the Township of Cinnaminson, Part II, Chapter 473, entitled Taxation, with new Article II, Section 473-5, to collect a statutorily authorized 2% municipal transfer tax on cannabis sales by Class 1, Class 2, and Class 5 license holders, and 1% municipal transfer tax on cannabis sales by Class 3 license holders. This ordinance is going to be advertised in the Burlington County Times, and the public hearing for this ordinance is scheduled for July 19th, 2021. May I have a motion to introduce Ordinance 2021-8, please?
I'll make a motion to introduce Ordinance 2021-8.
Thank you, Committeeman Conda. May I have a second, please?
Mr. Mayor, I'll second that.
Thank you, Mr. Horner. Roll call vote, please, Madam Secretary.
Yes, Mayor. Mr. Conda?
Aye.
Mr. Horner?
Aye.
Mr. McGill?
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Crable?
Aye.
Mayor Segrest?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. We're now going to move on to Ordinance 2021-9 to amend Chapter 500, Section 12 of the General Code entitled Sale of Impounded Vehicles. This ordinance is to be advertised in the Burlington County Times. The public hearing for this ordinance is scheduled for July 19th, 2021. May I have a motion to introduce Ordinance 2021-9, please?
Mr. Mayor, I'll make a motion to introduce ordinance 2021-9.
Thank you, Mr. Horner. May I have a second?
I'll second that, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. McGill. Roll call vote, please, Madam Secretary.
Yes, Mayor. Mr. Conda?
Aye.
Mr. Horner?
Aye.
Mr. McGill?
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Crable?
Aye.
Mayor Segrest?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, moving right along, we're going to move to the consent agenda. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, I'm good at counting, 7 resolutions on the consent agenda. Mr. Schubager, can you give some detail regarding
Sure, Mayor.
the resolutions?
No problem at all. Resolution 97 is a resolution renewing liquor licenses within the township. Our municipal clerk, Lisa Passione, handles that. She has all the paperwork necessary to renew all the licenses. There are no changes this year. Resolution 98 is authorizing the Municipal Alliance Grant. That is a grant that we've been working with for several years. It's filed with the Governor's Council on Alcoholism and Drug Abuse. This is for 2022 funding, and that program is designed to promote youth development through programs in education. A very successful program within the community, and we're looking forward to continuing that. Resolution 99 is a Chapter 159, which is an item of revenue. That will, let me backtrack. We received the grant award in the amount of approximately $5,000 from the New Jersey Department of Law and Public Safety. That revenue needs to be inserted into the budget via Chapter 159, and that action will, those funds will be utilized, by the municipal court to hold special court sessions. That's what we've been using that funding for. Resolution 100 is also a Chapter 159, same purpose. That one is for the Clean Communities Grant, and in that case, the township was awarded nearly $36,000 from DEP. Again, we've been very successful with that program. Our Public Works Department utilizes that funding for recycling and cleanup days throughout the community, and we look forward to utilizing those funds for that purpose once again. Resolution 101, as committee member Conda and I believe Mayor Segrest alluded to, and Resolution 102 are for the same purpose, which is authorizing the Township Committee to submit a grant application to the DOT through the Municipal Aid Program, one for Kern Street, one for Zeisner Street. And again, as has been already alluded to, but I'll repeat it, we've been very successful through that grant program the last several years, being able to reconstruct North Pompess Avenue and pretty soon North Randolph. We've already secured the funding. That project is slated to begin in a couple of months. And finally, Resolution 103 is authorization to implement a market to affordable program. We've, at our meetings, have discussed the fact that this township has been proactive and out in front of making sure that we had approved the program that Fair Share Housing was able to be excited about, and that the township is excited about because it handles something that many townships are still struggling with throughout the state. Triad is our township administrative agent for affordable housing, and with this resolution, we're giving them the authority to identify existing units within the community which can be deed restricted and then rented or sold and qualify as moderate income households as part of that market to affordable program. About 12 to 14 units is what our administrative agent is recommending at this point. And that will help us meet our obligation in a very positive manner, in my opinion. So with that, Mayor, those resolutions are before you for action tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Schubager. That is the end of the consent agenda. I'm now going to open up public comment on the consent agenda items only. May I have a motion to open the public comment on the consent agenda items only, please?
I'll make a motion to, I'll make a motion to open public comment on the consent agenda items only.
Thank you, Mrs. Crable. May I have a second?
Mr. Mayor, I'll second that.
Thank you, Mr. Horner. Voice vote. All in favor? Aye. Nays, abstention, ayes have it. Public comments on the consent agenda is now open. Please come up to the podium and state your name and address for the record if you're going to comment. All right. Not seeing anybody come forward. May I have a motion to close public comment on the consent agenda, please?
Mr. Mayor, I'll make a motion to close public comment on the consent agenda.
Thank you, Mr. Conda. May I have a second, please?
I'll second that, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. McGill. Voice vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Nays, abstentions, ayes have it. May I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Mr. Mayor, I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
May I have a second, please? Thank you, Mr. Horner.
I'll second.
Thank you, Mr. Crable. Roll call vote, please, Madam Secretary?
Yes, Mayor. Mr. Conda.
Aye.
Mr. Horner.
Aye.
Mr. Miguel.
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Craybill.
Aye.
Mayor Segrist.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. We're now going to move on to approval of the minutes. May I have a motion to approve the minutes of June 7th, 2021?
Mr. Mayor, I will make a motion to approve the minutes of June 7, 2021.
Thank you, Mr. Conda. I will second that. Roll call vote, please, Madam Secretary?
Yes, Mayor. Mr. Conda.
Aye.
Mr. Horner.
Aye.
Mr. Miguel.
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Craybill.
Aye.
Mayor Segrist.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we're going to move on to the approval of the bills. May I have a motion to approve the bill list, please?
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve the bills.
Thank you, Mr. McGill. May I have a second, please?
Mr. Mayor, I'll second that.
Thank you, Mr. Horner. Madam Secretary, roll call vote, please.
Mr. Conda.
Aye.
Mr. Horner.
Aye.
Mr. Miguel.
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Craybill.
Aye.
Mayor Segrist.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any comments from the staff or professionals tonight? No?
Mayor, I do have a comment.
Mr. Schubert?
Thank you. Welcome back, everyone. And as always, as the administrator, I really support, everything we're trying to do here as a township and work with the committee. I appreciate their support in enabling me to try to figure out how to do that. Tonight, I just want to point out and specifically thank Mayor Segrist and Committee Member Conda, because some of you in this room probably remember, it's probably been, you got to throw in the COVID year and a half, but probably 2 to 2.5 years ago, we had several residents in here who expressed concern about some of their roads in the East Riverton section of the township. I kind of remember sort of a line here, if I'm not mistaken. I was only here for a brief time. It's been an ongoing issue in that portion of the township for a long time. But this group, led by the mayor and Mr. Conda, who represent the subcommittee, which I think, if I remember now, because we've been working with it for so long, the name of it is the Drainage Improvement Subcommittee, spearheaded that, and as, again, has been talked about tonight, several roads are either been completely reconstructed in that section of the town or in the midst of being done so, and in addition to that, we're continuing to apply for funding, successfully, I might add, and working with he's not new anymore, but our Public Works Superintendent, Kevin Gaunt, who came into that issue. One of the things we talked to him about was how big of an issue that was for us to try to tackle. He's been a great asset for us, working with his staff and our engineers, making sure that we take real action there. So I've been proud to be part of that team that's trying to sort of come to the rescue with those roads. We're making great strides. We have more to do. But I just wanted to point out their leadership. I do really appreciate. I think the town should be really happy to have them helping out with that situation. So, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Schubert.
All right, we're now going to open up for public comment. May I have a motion to open public comment, please?
Mr. Mayor, I'll make a motion to open public comment.
Thank you, Mr. Conda.
Mr. Magoo.
Mr. McConda.
May I have a second, please?
I'll second that, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. McGill. Voice vote, all in favor?
Aye.
Nays, abstention, ayes have it. Public comment is now open. Please state your name and address for the record if you come up.
Jonathan Powers, 361 Stelton Road, up in Piscataway, New Jersey. I work with the UFCW, United Food and Commercial Workers, and I'm pretty much here to thank you guys, thank the township for allowing the cannabis industry into town. We represent some of the cannabis workers here in New Jersey right now. And we believe it will add educated and community-minded people to the township, workers. But we would also like to recommend the City of Bayonne's plan, a merit-based system that takes the environment, security, community, labor, and local ownership into consideration. They have a fee structure that they've come up with. If the council would like a copy of their ordinance, their plan, I'd be happy to share it with you. I have some cards if anyone needs them. But thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Powers.
Thank you, Mr. Powers. Anyone else? Yeah.
He has a raise your hand option.
Raise your hand option.
Now we can see your hand.
There you go. Good evening. Ben Young, 116 Woodview Lane. It's good to be back. It's good to see you all back. I wanted to add to the comments on the proclamation, if I might. The O'Malley family has served this community for many, many, many years. And Mariette, as good as she was, she had a mentor in her father that was on the zoning board even longer than she was on the planning board. That is a terrific family who has really given their lives to the betterment of Cinnaminson. And you could always count on Mariette at a meeting to have gone out and done her homework. She knew the sites. She knew exactly. So the proclamation is obviously well-deserved. We honored her father when he retired from the zoning board as chairman, and they are a family that Cinnaminson can be proud to have as residents. So I wanted to add that to it.
How long ago, about, you don't have to give me an exact date.
I'm going to
but
say that Chuck was on 27 years when he retired, and that was in like, he retired while I was mayor. So I'm going to say in 13 or 14. So a long time. They've done a terrific job for this community. And he's missed already, even in death. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
That's good information. Anyone else from the public? All right, not seeing anybody else come forward. May I have a motion to close public comment?
I'd like to make a motion to close public comment, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. McGill. May I have a second, please?
I'll second.
Thank you, Mrs. Crable. Voice vote. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Nays, abstention, ayes have it. Public comment is now closed. We're now going to move on to committee comment. Committee comments are going to follow the same order as the liaison reporting, which if I can go all the way back to, I could find page 1. Yeah. Which is Committeeman Conda, Committee Member Horner, Committee Member McGill, Deputy Mayor Crable, and then myself.
Other than to say, welcome back, everyone. I have nothing this evening. Mr. Mayor, thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Conda.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just have one brief comment. I'd actually like to thank yourself, Committee Member Conda, Administrator Schubiger, as well as Superintendent Kevin Gaunt, for pressing the county in regard to the recycling issue. I know you guys have been actively brainstorming various ideas, thinking outside the box, not just the containers that are on site at DPW, but even going as far as pressing the county with manpower, and saying, listen, if you guys have the trucks, we can get the manpower. Let's just get this done. And unfortunately, the county did not take us up on that offer, but I think your leadership and your commitment to solving clearly what is an issue should be commended. So I wanted to thank you specifically for really continuing to push that issue.
Thank you, Mr. Horner. I appreciate that.
I'm up. I'd like to thank everybody for coming, and I'm so glad to be back in a public meeting and not seeing, people's faces on a computer. I know we went through quite a rigmarole to get 15 months ago to get back to where we are now, but it's good to be back. And I would like to thank Public Works, Police Department, Fire Department, all our professionals, and our staff here, excellent staff here, for continually doing their duty and keeping this township running smoothly. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. That's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. McGill.
My pleasure.
Deputy Mayor Crable?
No, I follow that. I'd just like to thank the residents who have participated for the last year and a half in our Zoom meetings. It's good to physically be back in the building with everybody and see everybody face to face. I think our meetings take on a different presence when we are all here together. So just thank you for riding it out with us. That's all I have.
Thank you. I do have one thing I'd like to add, and I kind of skipped over this earlier, is there will be, if you do not have your COVID-19 vaccine, they are doing shots and dinner at DeBoer Specialty Physicians, 811 Sunset Road, Suite 102 in Burlington, June 28th, 3 to 7 p.m. That is free dinner if you get your shot. Walk-ins are welcome, but you can schedule an appointment at covid19.nj.gov, or you could call 855-568-0545. There's one other thing I'd like to do tonight, and it's to honor the outgoing mayor. It's something that we traditionally do in January, and we were not able to do that. So,
It's June.
what did I say?
You said January.
You said January?
Something we tradition.
Oh, yeah.
I have to get up and.
That's how it works, baby.
Thank you, Mr. Young. I was trying to be diplomatic. He wasn't getting this.
You want to hold off?
Do it next time again, too.
Next time, bring his family.
Mr. Horner, I do appreciate all your dedication. You're a role model for me, sir.
Thank you, sir.
All right, let's get.
All right, that completes committee comment. Unless anyone else has any additional comments, we're going to move on to adjournment. May I have a motion to adjourn the meeting, please?
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Thank you, Mr. McGill. May I have a second, please?
Mr. Mayor, I will second that.
Committeeman Conda, thank you, sir. Voice vote, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Nays, abstention, ayes have it. The meeting is now adjourned. The next meeting is Monday, July 19th, 2021, at 6:30 p.m. Thank you, everybody.
One meeting in it?
One meeting. Yeah.
Like I said, traditionally July and August we do one.
Thank you. Thank you for that.
All right, thank you, everyone.